The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
The Attitude Era is widely considered by many as the greatest product the WWE has ever had. Now, relive the entire journey with exclusive commentary, insights, and episodic discussion with head writer Vince Russo.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Raw. What was it good for? This is when Jeff Lane and myself look back at the Attitude Era in the WWE. Today, we'll be looking at June 29th, 1998. It's the week after King of the Ring, where Steve Austin lost his WWF Championship to Kane. Go ahead, Jeff. Take it away.
Well, this is from Cleveland, Ohio. Like you said, it's the night after King of the Ring, and Vince McMahon opens the show, and he's got Briscoe and Slaughter with him. And it was, you heard JR say something about Pat Patterson's loss, and that's what Ed Ferrara covered on last week's show, so that was interesting to hear that. But basically, in this opening segment, Vince McMahon introduces Kane as the new champion. He comes out with Paul Bearer. Austin interrupts. He wants a rematch because the stipulation said you bust open your opponent to win. Kane didn't bust him open at King of the Ring. Undertaker is. So he wants a rematch. Kane agrees to a rematch. So we have a main event tonight, Austin versus Kane, rematch from King of the Ring, WWF Championship.
Yeah, Jeff, this was every character and every performer at their absolute best. This was just a beautifully crafted Vince McMahon promo. And let me make one thing perfectly clear, bro. These promos came from Vince. They did not come from the pen of Vince Russo. I know by the words that he's speaking, and I know by what he's saying, that this was all Vince McMahon. This was absolutely brilliant when he's talking about a giant breath of fresh air has cleansed the WWF. No more foul mouth, unseemingly hand gestures. Just that phrase alone, bro. Unseemingly hand gestures and no beer swilling. That's all Vince McMahon, bro. I popped huge when he says we finally have a champion whose only hand gesture is to salute the flag of the United States of America. And, bro, that is absolutely brilliant when he's talking about Kane, bro. And just a picture of Kane saluting the American flag. But this was absolutely brilliant. This was only a promo that Vince McMahon could cut. Then, bro, he turns it over to Paul Bearer. Bro, I love the fact that Paul Bearer is still selling the head injury from 2 weeks ago, bro. It was 2 weeks ago that he got caught in the cage from Taker. He still has the huge Band-Aids on his head. He tells a great story that now the Undertaker is standing in the shadows of his little brother. And, bro, the Paul Bearer facial expressions. Jeff, I always said this, being a big fan of television, and I'm dating myself once again, and I really don't care. But Carol O'Connor as Archie Bunker, to me, had the greatest facial expressions in the history of television. Nobody has ever done it better. Paul Bearer is at that level. His facial expressions, bro, if he never said a word in the ring, he could tell a story just by his face, and it's incredible. And then here it is. Here comes Austin. And Austin, just up to par. That big son of a bitch never busted me open. And then, bro, I love when he turned to Vince and he says, I'll knock your damn head off just for those shoes that you're wearing, which was an incredible line because I noticed Vince's shoes as soon as he came out of the open, and for Austin to see that and hit on that was absolutely incredible. then, I literally at one point, bro, I was drinking my Coke Zero and I spit it up when Austin just looked at Paul Bearer and said, what about it, fat ass? And I mean, bro, this is just every performer at their absolute best, setting up the main event for the night. Who would have thought, bro, coming off of last night's King of the Ring, that the main event on a Monday night would have been, the rematch of Kane versus Austin for the WWE title. But, bro, the note that I wrote is, we were writing week to week, bro. We were writing episodic television. If this happened at the pay-per-view, this would have to happen on Monday night. And that's how we wrote the shows. Everything made sense. Everything flowed. People would like to say we were hot-shotting the territory, which is absolutely ridiculous, bro. We were telling a story, and we were telling a logical story week to week, and it was absolutely logical that Austin would want his rematch the following night, especially surrounding the controversy that came out of him losing his title the night before.
We get a quick update from the announcers. Lawler says Undertaker's on his way to the arena. He has a confession to make. And Jim Ross says that the Brawl for All starts tonight. So Droz is in the ring. Sable comes out. She announces that Vince McMahon has signed Steven Regal, who everybody knows as William Regal today. He was Steven Regal for a long time, WCW, WWE. But he wrestles Droz. Sable's on commentary. Of course, no selling, the no comment for why are you back? How did you get reinstated? And Droz taps out. Regal wins with the Regal stretch. To me, this was kind of awkward. I don't know, like the way Regal was just kind of thrown out there.
Jeff, there were a lot of things. There were a lot of things going on here. First of all, Steven Regal came in on a very, JR was head of talent relations. And, JR was really pushing for Regal to come in. I had no problem with Regal coming in. I was a big fan of Regal. But I got to say, bro, he was dealing some substance issues at the time. And, bro, you could see, I mean, he was really out of shape. And for his first match in the WWE and for JR, pushing to get him in the way he did, for Regal to be out of shape, as I said, bro, we found out soon after that there was some substance issues going on. So you absolutely were not seeing Steven Regal at his absolute best. Sable was put there on color to help keep the people there. The best line of the segment, bro, was when Sable comes to sit down and JR tells the King, stand up, King, and be a gentleman. And Sting says, well, I can't stand up right now, which was just absolutely phenomenal. But again, not exactly the best debut for Steven Regal to make in the WWE.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, he wasn't really around that long, and then he ended up coming back with the real man's man gimmick later in the year, but I don't think he lasted that long on TV doing his British, snobby stuff.
And that's why, bro, there were personal issues at the time.
We get a quick shot of Marc Mero jump roping, getting ready for the Brawl for All, and then Michael Cole interviews Ken Shamrock in the ring about winning the King of the Ring the previous night. When Hart interrupts, he wants to challenge him because he's a former King of the Ring. Triple H interrupts, wants to make it a three-way, so we have a three-way coming up with three former King of the Ring, or one current King of the Ring, two former King of the Rings on the roster later tonight. Shamrock, Owen, and Triple H.
Bro, it is so funny because it's like Shamrock is cutting the promo and everything's going okay. Then Owen comes out, then Triple H comes out. And Shamrock kind of gets caught up when Triple H is cutting a promo. He kind of gets caught up in the old, okay, you said you wanted a match with you, me, and Owen in this ring, the three of, I mean, bro, it's to the point of when you look at Triple H, he's starting to laugh, and it almost fits like the Ken Shamrock gimmick, bro, that, he's a tough guy, but he might not have all his oars in the water. Bro, I'll never forget, and it was instances like this where a couple of months that followed, The Rock was cutting a promo on Ken Shamrock in the ring when they got into their big angle. And I'll never forget, bro, I'm watching the promo with Shamrock in the back next to the monitor. And at one point during the promo, The Rock basically says that Ken Shamrock is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And I remember I'm standing next to Shamrock and I'm kind of laughing to myself. And bro, like 5 minutes after Rock says the line, Shamrock turns to me with a questionable look on his face and says, "Did he just say I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer?" And bro, Rock literally said it 5 minutes prior. And like, that was like how Ken Shamrock was. So like, bro, I really appreciate the promos when he starts repeating what everybody else says and he just goes round and round and round. That was very entertaining to me, but that was part of, the personality of Ken Shamrock, and very, very entertaining as well.
Steve Blackman's warming up for the Brawl for All, and the first match is next, and it's Marc Mero and Steve Blackman. I had a question. I know it's a very short 3 minutes. Let's say, like, because I know this happens later on, how hard was it to make adjustments on the fly if the Brawl for All did not go the full 3 minutes as far as timing for the rest of the show?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been tough, bro, because like you said, it was only 3 minutes. You have to be able to adjust on the fly like that, Jeff. You have to be, especially live TV, especially at that point in time, bro, when we were competing head-to-head with Nitro. But luckily, bro, it was only 3 minutes. So it wouldn't have been a big adjustment. It would have been very, very doable.
I'm sure we discussed this before, but what was the thought process like? Because you can't come out on TV and say, this is real. You know what I mean? That just sounds ridiculous when you're watching wrestling. Oh, by the way, this is going to be real. You can't say that. So were you worried about the impression of the fans not knowing whether it was a work or a shoot? Because honestly, I can remember sitting there the first time this came on, and I thought it was fake. And I'm like, I do not want to watch fake boxing. What is this? I remember that because I didn't know it was real. Was that ever, crossing your mind? Or
Jeff, I knew they were going to react that way too. And listen to the crowd. I mean, bro, they were chanting, "We want wrestling." They were booing. I mean, the first match with Blackman and Mero was pretty tough because the fans did not know what this is. And bro, you got to understand, like, I pitched this concept to Vince McMahon, and, I'm listening to all this and I wasn't surprised by it at all. But I also knew that Vince had like a very short leash. And I knew in time this would get over when people would figure out that it wasn't a work. But I knew that was going to take a couple of matches. But, bro, I got to tell you, I got to give props to JR and the King. They were doing and saying everything to try to get this over. They were doing and saying everything to make the people understand exactly what you're saying, Jeff, that this was real. This wasn't a work. And I thank them for that, because they could have buried the concept. And if they would have buried it, it would have died on the vine. But early on, I mean, bro, they were really trying to get it over with the people, even though the fans were booing loudly. They did not understand this. They did not know what this was. Man, I felt sorry for Mero in the first match because, bro, as a boxer, every swing he was taking at Blackman, he was opening up himself to be taken down by Blackman. And like, that's exactly what happened. He'd take that big swing and immediately Blackman would go for his legs and take him down. And, bro, while you're watching this, you could see the frustration in Mero's face, because how was he going to throw a punch without leaving himself open for Blackman to take him down? And that's exactly, how the entire match went and how Steve Blackman went over.
Was there any of this that the boys kind of worked on their own? Because I noticed at the end of the match, you can see Blackman talking to Mero almost like he's calling a spot or something, and I couldn't understand what he was saying, but you can hear it clear as day. And I was just confused, like, what possibly could he have been saying to him at that point? Do you know if anybody worked any of this?
No, Jeff, I saw that too, and I didn't know what he was saying, but they obviously weren't working because, like, that was the very end of the match. Right. So they weren't working with 5 seconds left. But yeah, I mean, I saw that. I would have liked to know what Blackman said to him, but bro, I don't think these guys were even talking beforehand. I mean, bro, when you look at the I don't want to jump ahead of ourselves, but when you look at the next match with JBL, bro, when he's coming down the freaking aisle, he's in the freaking zone. I mean, he's not fooling around. You can kind of see like JBL is in the zone, but we'll talk about that in a minute, bro. But bro, something like was really weird after this. There was like a shot, I think, of the Godfather Kama coming into the building.
See, I thought that was the Undertaker.
I thought it was Kama. Maybe it was Taker, but they never said it was Taker.
Yeah, they couldn't tell who it was. They said, I don't know who it is. It's dark. But I thought it was the Undertaker.
Maybe it was, bro. I have to go back and look. But it was almost like it was a mistake. Because if it was Taker, they clearly didn't say Taker was coming in. And what was horrible, bro, was you could tell in the shot, he was standing in place. And when we started rolling, then he got his cue to walk. So, like, it was really, really bad. I just wonder if they kind of went to that by mistake, because I was assuming it was Taker. But then on second look, it looked like Godfather. Then the announcers were saying it was too dark. They didn't know who it was. That whole thing was kabuki-ish.
Yeah, it was. We also had Kevin Kelly with a sweet new goatee. He's interviewing Kane, Mankind, and Paul Bearer. And Kane says he accepted the challenge because he can beat Austin again, and he's a greater champion than his brother was. Then we have Val Venis versus Dick Togo of Kai En Tai. And the lovely Mrs. Yamaguchi makes her debut at ringside. I had such a big crush on her back in the day. It kind of revived in me, I think, seeing her ringside, Vince. I may have to see if I can get a hold of her.
I'd love to know what happened to that woman. Love to know what her name was.
Yeah, beautiful. Actually, one of the brand members sent me her real name one day, and I don't know what I did with it, but yeah, beautiful. So Dustin Rhodes comes out on commentary wanting JR and King to spread the word of God. They kind of blow him off and say there's a time and a place for that. This isn't it. Val Venis gets the win, does his poses for Mrs. Yamaguchi. Obviously, this is starting the choppy pee-pee storyline that we're going to get into. I love this storyline. I think it's, well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but so Yamaguchi slaps him in the face. Kai En Tai comes out. Val takes all three of them out with vicious chair shots to the head, and then we see Edge in the crowd.
Yeah.
So thoughts on this whole deal here?
Well, I listen, Jeff, I got to comment on my beautiful line of, choke up on my bat and swing from my long balls, which was absolutely poetry in motion, bro. Absolutely brilliant. I popped huge at the line. Bro, I got to say this, and I'm going to say I have no problem saying this. Bro, the Goldust character, we had to kill. And I was totally against it, and I did not want to do it. And bro, because of it, like I really felt bad for Dustin. So we went from that to the character formerly known as Goldust to now the God-loving man. And bro, this was brutally painful. This was absolutely horrible. It stemmed from the overcompensation of me trying to find something for Dustin because I really felt guilty because Goldust was so hot and he just had that pulled out from underneath him. But I will say this, bro. I'd rather try different gimmicks than just take the guy off TV for 6 months. You look at the WWE now and, guys like Sandow, and other guys that we've just never seen. I would rather go to bat, swing and miss, than to send Dustin, Runnels home for 6 months. So this was painful. I did not enjoy this. This was horrible. It was hard to watch. I understood why it took place. But again, bro, I'd rather find a spot for the talent than just give the old, well, we have nothing for you. But this wasn't working. This wasn't going to go any place. And, it needed to end, sooner rather than later.
Michael Cole is interviewing Steve Austin, asking him how confident he is. Austin gets all pissed off, tells him he's confident, throws Michael Cole out of the dressing room. We're just seeing, like we saw the Kane promo. Now we're seeing the Austin. We had the in-ring, the story threads. And this is something you always talk about. Keep it going from top, from the beginning of the show till the end. And this whole storyline with Kane versus Austin rematch, you don't give the audience time to forget about it for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? You're keeping it fresh in their mind. And that's something you always talk about anyway. So we have the King of Kings match, Triple H, Owen Hart, and Shamrock. And The Rock comes out, hits Triple H with the Intercontinental title. Shamrock gets the win. DX comes out, attacks The Rock. Nation comes out to The Rock's aid. So we have a DX and Nation brawl starting on the stage. And then Owen gives Shamrock a modified figure four looking thing on the ring post.
Jeff, I talk about every week, and I'm such a stickler for this, how you need to protect the talent. And I am a stickler for that because that's why characters don't get over. Jeff, look at this match. Owen, Triple H, and The Rock. Look how, and Shamrock, look how everybody gets over. Look how everybody gets over. Triple H gets screwed by The Rock with the briefcase. Okay? DX gets on The Rock. Triple H gets back in the fray. Now there's a whole DX a nation brawl. You've protected Hunter. Okay? Shamrock gets the win. But Owen gets his comeuppance by getting Shamrock in the submission match and getting heat after the match. So you covered Triple H, you covered Owen Hart, and you covered Shamrock. Everybody got over in that match to get us to the next spot in the freaking story. Every character needs to be protected, and that is a lost art in the WWE. And here we had three major stars, and you saw how all three major stars were protected.
I was kind of surprised that we didn't see a continuation of this brawl, backstage or after commercial, because that was normally like one of your traits. You know what I mean? Like it didn't end just because they fell back into the curtain. So I was honestly surprised, that we didn't see a scuffle backstage with DX and the Nation, still going at it.
That's a good point, bro. It could have been a timing issue, when we timed out the show. Who knows? But again, bro, just everybody covered.
Undertaker is in the ring with Michael Cole next, talking about why he interfered. He basically says, I didn't want to see my little brother set himself on fire. So Vince McMahon comes out, and he says the Undertaker did it because he thinks he can beat Kane for the title, but also because he doesn't think he can beat Austin. That's Vince's reasoning why Taker cost Austin the title. And Vince warns him to not interfere in the match tonight.
But do you see the beauty of the story there, Jeff? Like even Vince saying, don't BS me that you didn't want to see your brother burn. You're full of crap, bro. You know you can't beat Austin. I mean, do you see the story where bro, again, I got to go back to today's wrestling. Why can't there be some kind of a story in which Taker is accepting this match against Shane McMahon? Why doesn't Taker have an ulterior motive? Why isn't Taker looking for something? Vince McMahon basically booked Taker in this match and literally, like it's been said for a couple of weeks, made Taker his biatch. And like, that's okay with Taker. You would think that Taker would want something in return. But that's exactly what this is, bro. A little mind game. Now you're sitting at home wondering, well, is Vince right? Is that really Taker's motivation? Is Taker afraid that he can't beat Austin? Is there something more here than meets the eye? Even if there isn't, bro, it gives you something to think about. Again, in my opinion, a lost art, Jeff.
Yeah, not only that, though, when it raises the tension when Taker comes out later in the match. All those thoughts, I think, go back into the viewer's head. You know what I mean? Okay, what is he going to do it again? Does he, so I like that kind of stuff. We see next Brawl for All. It's Bradshaw versus Marc Canterbury of Southern Justice, who used to be Henry Godwin. Bradshaw wins this one on points. This one was a lot more physical than the first one, I thought.
And I think, Jeff, you'll slowly but surely start to see why the fans are saying, wait a minute. Like, bro, these guys were throwing haymakers. I mean, JBL was throwing haymakers. And, bro, Marc Canterbury is a legitimate tough guy. He would kill you and me, bro. And, JBL was just like throwing freaking bombs. So this was totally different, bro, than what you got with Mero and Blackman. And I think like this may have opened the fans' minds like, well, wait a minute. What if JBL connects with one of those punches. And it was going to be a slow process, bro, but you're going to see how in the weeks to come, when you see guys getting their clocks clean, you know it's not a work. I mean, you could tell it's not a work. But I got to tell you, bro, I look back on this, and Jeff, what a ballsy move on my part to even pitch this. I mean, this is it. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, bro, what a risk. I mean, this could have sucked. Vince could have been all over me. This could have bombed. What we were on such a roll, like, why would I have even pitched this? Why didn't I, play it safe and just continue with business as usual? But again, bro, it was always wanting to try something different. That's what it was all about. And, bro, risk equals reward. That's how you get to the next freaking level. And you got to keep in mind, Jeff, Nitro is on the opposite channel. So, like, if I'm a wrestling fan and all of a sudden JBL's walk into the ring wearing boxing gloves, how do I not for that split second say, what the frig is this? I mean, are these guys boxing? So that's what it was, bro. Just trying different things, to keep the viewer there. But I do have to say, Jeff, this was no doubt, there was great risk involved in this.
Yeah, and you actually heard the crowd react with a nice ooh when Bradshaw did connect on one of those big punches. So I think they started to get into it even in this match. Do you remember what, the process of who was in the tournament? How did you decide who was in it? How did they get any incentives if they decided they would participate in this?
Bruce Pritchard basically was talent relations at the time, and he made all the calls. And yeah, bro, these guys were offered a nice payday if they participated. And, the further they went, the more money they would get. So there was money on the line for these guys. And, bro, a lot of the guys, look, Henry Godwin wasn't being used at the time. Bro, a lot, Mero did it, because he almost had to, bro. He was a Golden Gloves. If he didn't do it, he would have got more heat in the locker room. So there was a lot of reasons why different guys did it. But money was definitely, a factor, bro, because the further they went, the more money they made.
LOD comes out next without Sunny. JR mentions she's under the weather. We might be at the time where she's done. I don't remember exactly, but I don't know if she comes back at all after this. But Animal says that they have a big surprise, and they introduce Paul Ellering. Big history with the Road Warriors. So he comes out. He's got his newspaper. DOA comes out right when Paul Ellering's about to speak. They get in the ring, and Paul Ellering says, I'm going to introduce my new team, Skull and 8 Ball, the DOA, and then they all beat down the LOD. So a swerve there. Ellering is with DOA instead of LOD.
And I forgot all about that, bro. So, I didn't even see this swerve coming. But, man, I got to tell you, Jeff, Paul Ellering is, just one of those forgotten guys. And that's a shame. Bro, he's a lot like a modern day Jim Mitchell. These guys were so good and so talented and played such an important role at that time. And all of a sudden, bro, you say Paul Ellering to the average wrestling fan today, and I bet you they don't even know who he is. The same with Jim Mitchell. And that's a freaking shame, bro, because Paul Ellering was a legend. Paul Ellering was an icon. Paul Ellering could cut a phenomenal promo. He was a huge part of the success of the Road Warriors. And man, bro, the fact that he's almost an afterthought today, that just doesn't serve him justice. I mean, he was a great talent. So I'm at least happy that, some people back in 1999 got to be reminded of who Paul Ellering was.
Kevin Kelly asked The Undertaker if he plans to heed Mr. McMahon's warning. Taker says nobody tells him what to do. So we got one more tease before the main event, which is next. Kane and Austin, WWF Championship. Undertaker indeed does come out during the match, but he doesn't do anything. He just watches. Austin wins clean with the stunner, gets his title back. He's the new WWF champion. Then Taker gets in the ring after the match. Austin gives him a stunner as well. Walks up the ramp. He's flipping the double bird to both Kane and the Undertaker, and we go off the air with Austin in the belt, the new champion. Before I get your thoughts on this, I just want to say I love how Kane took this stunner. Like, I rewound it a few times and looked at it. He didn't do a typical down wrestling bump or how they collapsed. Like, he went, it looked good. Like, boom. Like, he just face planted right into the mat. And I thought that was just awesome. It looked great, in my opinion.
Oh, I'm going to get to that in a second, Jeff, but I just want to point a couple of things out first. First of all, bro, the fans were in a frenzy. That's the only way I could describe. This was a frenzy. You know, again, bro, it's like I watched this right after Raw last night, and I'm coming off the end of Raw with the Reigns Triple H brawl, and I'm watching this, and you can't even describe the difference in emotion in the crowd. Like, you can't even, these people were in a full-fledged frenzy, bro. Bro, another thing that stood out to me with what you said, bro, in 2016, Kane would have kicked out of the stunner. There's no way in hell, bro, that would have been the finish of the match. There's no way. A guy having a finishing move and it being 1, 2, 3 is over and done. They've killed that, obviously, Jeff, sometime between 1998 and 2016. That has been killed. There's no way. I mean, bro, I had to stop because it was the stunner 1, 2, 3. I forgot what that was like, how clean, how it got the moves over. Never happened today. He would have kicked out. Of course, bro, at the end of it, what would it have been without the legendary call of JR? You know, Stone Cold. I mean, oh my God, bro, just again, listen, if anybody watches this, and you can go back and look at last night's Raw, and you can hear Michael Cole call that action at the end. It's like, oh my God, bro, please. I'm just, bro, it's like, Jeff, in the NFL, they have the game on Sunday. All week long, they show the game tapes to the team. Why can't they show the game tapes to the talent, the game tapes to the announcers? Why can't they show the game tapes to Vince McMahon? The fact that it went from this to a go home show to WrestleMania ending the way it did. Bro, this is 1998 to 2016. It's 18 years. What happened?
Raw won that night 5-4 to 4-1.
Wow. And
the hourly breakdown, Nitro's first hour unopposed was a 4-0. Raw won the first hour that they were on 5-2 to 3-8. Raw won the last hour 5-6 to 4-1. And for those that are interested, Nitro's final segment was an in-ring with Hulk Hogan, DDP, and Karl Malone.
Jeff, can you do me
5-4 to 4-1?
Can you add up the 5-4 and the 4-1 for me? What is that?
9.5.
Bro, the wrestling rating was a 9.5 on Monday night. Not 3 times, almost 3 times what it is today. 3 freaking times. Again, a week from today, Jeff, we are starting on Podcast 1, Monday through Friday, absolutely free. A week from today. And I'm telling you, we're going to make wrestling great again. We have the platform and we have the voice to make wrestling great again. And that's the bandwagon we've been on since day one. And if you watch what we just watched and you watch the Raw from last night, you'll understand why we're riding this gravy train. Wrestling will be great again. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you right here tomorrow.